Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make Icebox Cupcakes, and this is what it looks like. Isn't it cute? So what we have is 3 layers of homemade chocolate wafer cookies and 3 layers of whipped cream. Now, the perfect Icebox Cupcake is when the chocolate wafers, which are normally really crisp and crunchy, become wonderfully soft. And the way that happens is, once you assemble your cupcakes, you have to put them in the refrigerator to chill at least a day. I know it's kind of hard to wait, but it will be worth it because these are just so good. So we're going to start by making our homemade chocolate wafers. For the batter, if you have a stand mixer like I have here, use your paddle attachment. You could use a hand mixer or just a large bowl with a wooden spoon. The first thing that you will need is 6 tablespoons, which is 85 grams of butter. Have your butter at room temperature. Now, my preference, if you've seen any of my videos, is unsalted butter. I like it, 1, for the flavor, and 2, you know, when you buy salted butter, every brand, the amount of salt they put in is different. So what I like to do is I like to control the salt in whatever I'm baking. So that's why I use unsalted butter. Now, if you have a salted butter that you really like, then by all means use that, and then just leave out the salt that's in the recipe. So put that in there, and then you will need 2/3 of a cup, which is 135 grams of light brown sugar. Now, when you're measuring light brown sugar or dark brown sugar, if you don't weigh your ingredients, which of course, get a scale, you know, it's much more accurate and easier to weigh your ingredients. But if you don't, if you use a measuring cup, make sure you pat down your brown sugar because it's very soft. So put that right in there, along with a 1/2 cup, 100 grams of granulated white sugar. And for flavoring, I'm adding 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. So I'm just going to beat this on medium-high speed just until everything gets mixed together, and then we get a little bit of air in the batter, so, you know, 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, that's done. So next we're going to add 1 large egg white. Have your egg white at room temperature, and a large egg white weighs about 30 grams. And I'm just going to mix that in. Okay, that's done. So now for our dry ingredients, in a separate bowl, I have 1 cup, which is 130 grams of all-purpose flour, plain flour. To that, these are chocolate wafers, so we need some chocolate. I'm adding a 1/2 cup, 50 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Now you can use either just like the regular unsweetened or the Dutch process, whichever one you like or you have in the house. Just for reference, I'm using the Dutch process. Then you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram, I'm using a fine kosher salt. So now just mix that together. You could sift it, or I'm using a wire whisk. I mean, you could just use a fork. Just mix that. And just put that in there. And then we're just going to beat this on medium-low speed. Start off on low speed because you don't want it coming up into your face. Then we're just going to mix it till everything comes together. Okay, so we are done. Our batter. So now we are going to, this is what you would call a slice and bake cookie. And that means we're going to form it into a log, the batter, chill it, and then just slice it off and bake the cookies. And what's really great about that is, you know, you could form it into the log. You need to chill it, you know, several hours. You want it nice and firm before you slice and bake your cookies. But you could, you know, do it overnight. You could actually leave your log in the fridge a couple days. You could even freeze it. And then if you don't want to do the cookies right away, freeze it for a month or so, and then do that. So it's a nice do-ahead cookie. Because even though we're going to make icebox cupcakes with this, these are really good just to eat on their own. They're really good. They're crisp, they're crunchy, lots of flavor. So now I'm just going to kind of make sure it's all mixed together. And I'm just doing this on my counter. Now you can, depending on like how big you want your cookie, your chocolate wafer cookies, I would say either like a 7 to 8 inch log, which would be 20 to 23 centimeters. About an 8 inch log will give you a cookie that's about 2 inches in diameter, 5 centimeters. So, you know, depending on how big you want your cupcakes. I think I did the 8 inch log when I was getting ready for doing testing for the video. So just try to get it, roll it, try to get it round, and you can use a ruler. And then just square off your edges. Now, the hardest part is trying to get into that perfect round. So, not that I think it matters that much when we're doing the cupcakes, but so it's a little soft now. So, you know, try to get it into a fairly round circle. But what I do is I let it chill for, you know, maybe an hour. And then I take it out and then re-roll it. Because what happens is when you put it in the fridge, because it's soft, it kind of settles down. So then you kind of get a circle with the flat edge, which is fine. You know, when they bake off, they tend to round out. But if you want to be perfect. So now once you get your log shape, you can roll your dough in plastic wrap, which I'm doing. You could use parchment paper, you could use wax paper, you could use foil. So just roll it up and then just twist the ends. So like I said, put that in the fridge, take it out half an hour, an hour. When it starts to firm up, roll it again, try to get it, you know, nice and perfect. And then put it back in the fridge and let it chill until it's really firm. Like I said, several hours or overnight, couple days, or like I said, in the freezer. And then when we come back, we will bake off our cookies. So now we are ready to bake off our chocolate wafer cookies. So first, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And then you will need a baking sheet. I've lined mine with parchment paper, but you could just lightly butter your baking sheet or even spray it with one of those non-stick cooking sprays. So then to slice our cookies, ruler, I like to slice them into a 1/4 inch, which is about a 1/2 centimeter. I know the ones like that you buy at the store, the commercial chocolate wafers, are really thin. So these ones are a little thicker. If you prefer a really thin chocolate wafer, you could slice them even thinner than what I do. So what I do is take a ruler and then with a sharp knife, just put notches, little 1/4 inch notches there. And then with a sharp knife, just slice straight down. Try to get straight down so it's even thickness. And then space them. I have 12 cookies on this, 3 rows. 3 across, 4 down. So everyone's oven is a little different, but I'm going to say bake these between 10 and 12 minutes. I do like to rotate my baking sheet front to back halfway through to get really even baking. So what you're looking for, time is one thing, but what you're looking for is the cookies will kind of puff and they will get cracks and kind of ripples, I guess you would call them. So that's when you know they're done. Nice, so they'll be nice and crisp and crunchy. So 10 to 12 minutes. So our chocolate wafers are done. So put your baking sheet on a wire rack. So this is what they should look like. As you can see, there's cracks or kind of ripples. So what I'm going to do is let them cool on the baking sheet for about 5 minutes, and then use your spatula to transfer them over to a wire rack to finish cooling. And then once that's done, when we come back, we will make our icebox cupcakes. So now we need to whip our cream for our icebox cupcakes. Now the recipe I'm going to do here for the whipped cream will give you 10 3-layer cupcakes. So if you don't want to make 10, if you just like, I just feel like a couple, then you can just, you know, adjust the whipped cream recipe just up or down, really. So if you want to make 10 3-layer cupcakes, you will need 1.5 cups, which is 360 milliliters or grams of cold, heavy cream, or it's also called heavy whipping cream. And that's cream with a 35 to 40% butterfat content, which means when we whip it, it will hold stiff peaks. So I'm going to put it in my bowl. If you're using your stand mixer, you want to use your whisk attachment for this. You could use a hand mixer, or you can use a large bowl with a wire whisk to do this. And then I like to flavor my whipping cream with just like 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of pure vanilla extract, and the sugar. Now, I'm going to say 2 to 3 tablespoons, like 25 to about 40 grams of granulated white sugar, or you could use powdered sugar as well. You know, how sweet do you want your cupcakes? You can vary. If you don't like your cream to be sweet at all, you could just hardly put any sugar. If you like it really sweet, you could use more. So I'll leave that up to you. So now what I'm going to do is just whip this on medium-high speed until it holds stiff peaks. Watch it carefully because you don't want to over whip it. Okay, that looks good. Whenever I whip cream, especially, a lot of times I do it by hand. Today I'm a little lazy and I did use my stand mixer, but a lot of times I don't take it all the way because you don't want to over whip it. So what I do is I just use my whisk and just finish it off. Now, I've had this happen. You over whip it, and if you whip it long enough, it kind of turns into butter. If that happens, there is a fix. So what you do is just take a little more cold, heavy cream, put it in there, and then just whisk it by hand, and it'll thin it out. So don't throw it out. So this is what I'm looking for. That's how. And you know, you can taste it. It's all right for me. I put the 3 tablespoons, 40 grams. That's how I like it. So now what I'm going to do is just clean up, and then we are going to assemble our icebox cupcakes. So now, to assemble our cupcakes, I'm actually going to pipe the whipping cream. It kind of dresses it up. You don't have to, it's just for the family or just for yourself. Just spread it on. But if you want to pipe it, you will need a piping bag, and I'm using a star tip here. You really can use a plain star, whatever you want. And so I take my pastry bag and I put my tip in there all the way down. And then what I do is I twist the bag and kind of stuff it in there so that when I put the cream, it doesn't all come out. And do that for anything, frosting, anything you do. It's nothing worse than that all before you're ready for it. And then just put back the top. And then to make another little trick, if you find it hard to kind of hold it in your hand, just put it in a cup, like so. If you have to, you know, whisk your cream a little, do that. That should be good. And then just take some cream. I only put part of the cream because, you know, as you're piping, your hand is touching the cream and it kind of warms it up. So I find I just put a little and then always add more. And I think I need this. So when you're ready, you just like that. And then what I do, if you have like a flat edge, you could just use a knife too, is I take that, I'm going to let that go, and I just push it down to get it all down. And then open your bag. You want to get the air out. So that looks good. So let's press. Okay, ready. And then when you're ready to pipe, just turn like that, and you hold it in this hand, and then you guide with your other hand. So I will need 3 cookies for each one. So, like I said, you can just spread it with a knife on there, but we'll be fancy. And you can put as much or as little cream as you want. I like to be generous, like so. Then put your next cookie on there. Just gently press down, and so, and the last one. If you wanted only 2 layer, you could just do that. You could do 4 layer. I think the 3 to me is like, I like things not even. So there we have it. I just think it's so cute. It's kind of a retro, I would think is retro dessert. This Icebox Cupcakes have been around for a long time. So then to decorate the top, I just grated, or you could shave some chocolate. You could use those chocolate jimmies, would be good. You could use sprinkles, the kids would love that. Sometimes I like to use like fresh raspberries. That kind of looks with the kind of the black and white and then the bright red on top. That looks good. So there. I mean, is that not cool? Like I said, you don't have to make all of them, because believe me, these cookies are really good just on their own. So you might keep a few on the side just to dip in a glass of milk. So there. Now, you can't eat them. Like I said, you can't eat them now. When you finish how many you want to make, put it into the refrigerator. I just put them in uncovered, or if you have a cover, you can put over top until that firms up, and then you could cover it. But like I said, I find 24 hours is about the right amount of time. You could do it longer than that. I mean, a few days. You know what I've also done? I've also put them, like after about 24 hours, I've wrapped them up and put them in the freezer, because they're nice and cold. I like them just right out of the freezer frozen. So this is one I made. I think I made these 2 days ago. So I'm going to show you. Now, I'm going to wreck this one. I can't put my fork. That's because the cookie is so hard. I don't know whether you can hear the knocking sound. I know I wrecked that. But for the sake of demonstration. But this one, if you notice, my fork just easily goes right through it. And that's the way you want it. So, I mean, that takes, because those are really crisp and crunchy cookies, it takes about 24 hours. Look at that. Now, you know, typically a cupcake, this cupcake is unusual. Usually you make like a round cake. And if you go to the joybaking.com website or our YouTube channel, I do have a recipe for the large icebox cake. But you know what? These are just so cute. I just had to make them. So, Carrie likes the cream. So, not the cookies, but the cream. Oh. You have to let that sit 24 hours. And It is so good. You know, chocolate and cream. I mean, who doesn't like that? This, to me, I have to have another bite just to make sure. This, to me, tastes like the texture and the taste of an ice cream sandwich. So if you like ice cream sandwiches, you're going to love this. So you must try these. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.